Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live here at Ohio State, the voice of college football, presented by FanDuel. I am your host, as always, on a Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Garrison. Always talk to you Ohio State and anything else going on around the landscape of college football. Just so you guys know real quick, forgot my mic at my friend's house. So currently right now, you hear me on a different audio right now. It probably doesn't sound as good, so apologies for that. But glad to have you all here. Of course, if you haven't already, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also, if you're watching on X, go ahead and hit that like button, the retweet button, quote it if you'd like to. Also on YouTube, hit that hype button. Does a lot of good in the algorithm also. But on today's show, it's a lot to talk about. I actually do have a lot to talk about today. A few things I didn't get to talk about last week because of when things came out. We're going to talk about Ryan Day and what he said about the positions. We're going to talk about Bo and Isaiah West. We're going to talk about our new special teams hire. Also some media things I thought were hilarious, and I think that they're trying to put fear in Ohio State fans, which I don't understand. And also, we're going to rank the toughest games of the conference games of the Ohio State schedule this upcoming season. But before we do all that, everybody, quick message here from the voice of college football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the voice of college football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Okay, so let's get to it here. First thing we're going to talk about is Ryan Day, what he had to say about the positions. And I'm just going to take one, maybe two things from a few of the positions he talked about. But yeah, I just want to say the most important thing I thought what really caught my attention and what he said. So first, we're going to start with the quarterbacks. On this one right here, he said something about Tavian, also about Justin Martin that came in on the transfer portal. But about Julian Sandy says Day believes Ohio State has the best quarterback in the country. Coming back, and shout out to 11 Warriors for this, but coming back with Julian returning for his second season as Ohio State starter. Quote from Ryan Day, Julian is going to have a huge offseason. Julian is really going to dive into this thing and take the next step. Now, I've actually had a conversation with a lot of non-Ohio State fans and asking if he would do this. I've also actually had conversations with some Ohio State fans who believe that Tavian should start next year or it should be a battle, as if Julian wasn't in New York City last season or all conference. But I'm really happy to hear this. I wouldn't expect to hear anything else out of Ryan Day. Of course, he also said he's the best quarterback in the nation. He's going to say that. Do I believe that? Not right now. Could he possibly be this upcoming season? Yeah, after everything is said and done. But that's what you want to hear. And I don't expect anything less from Julian. I would expect him to come to this season in grind mode. Of course, I won't say a lot of things, but they're very specific and I won't call them minor things, very major details I thought he missed last season, whether it be throwing over the middle, whether it be stepping up in the pocket and not turning 3-yard sacks to 9-yard sacks, whether that be stepping up in the pocket and just running when you have 15 yards, even 8 yards, 5 yards ahead of you. Things like that, I believe that Ryan Day is definitely going to work on with him this offseason. So, of course, really happy to hear that. Next, now he did talk about Bo and West, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. What I took from this is when he says it's the two running backs, and he says that he thinks that Jacoby Jackson out of Florida has a lot of talent. Of course, I believe he does too, but he was injured last season, so we still got to see what he can bring for this Ohio State team. And then says he believes that Legend Day can be a poor man's Tyreek Hill. Lightning in a bottle. That he's also. We're going to talk about a lot of these running backs here in a bit when we talk about Bowen West's injury. But those are two guys who I think are definitely going to have to make. I won't say some noise, but they're definitely going to have to play along with another running back in this running back room. But if the injuries are, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. Next, on the wide receivers, Ryan Day says Brandon Ennis needs to take the next step for us, and he knows that. Now, last season, I thought there were a lot of times throughout the year that Brandon Ennis was open. I thought there were a lot of times throughout the season that Julian just flat out missed him. And that's the truth of the matter. With that being said, though, we still need to get more out of Brandon Ennis. Coming in was the only 5-star recruit in his cycle for the Big Ten when he got to Ohio State. And also, I think that we know the players expect to have a better, especially Brandon Ennis, someone like of his ilk. But for Ohio State to take that next step, especially in the wide receiver unit, because me personally, I've always seen Ryan Day's system as a 3 wide receiver system. And I think that last year had Brandon Ennis had taken that step last season, had a bigger year, that could have unlocked unlocked a lot for Ohio State. So, yeah, I agree with Ryan Day on that. No, I think Brandon Ennis does too, to be quite honest with you. Definitely need to see more out of him this upcoming season. Next, tight ends. He says Nate Roberts is a talented young tight end. As we've seen in a while. I'm glad to hear that. I actually had a conversation about Nate Roberts yesterday with a few buddies. Even though we did bring in one guy from Ohio, we brought in Welching, who's one of the best players in the transfer portal, number 56, I believe, in the transfer portal this year. Out of Northwestern, I do believe Nate Roberts is going to see a lot of time. Of course, Jelani Thurman had left in the transfer portal season. And to be quite honest, Nate Roberts basically passed him up by the end of the year, right? So you see a lot of the talent that he has. We got to see him as a true freshman. And I think going to this upcoming year, we should expect nothing less depth. I always give, no matter where the player is, I usually give players the benefit of the doubt when it comes to progressing into the next season and taking that next step as a player and as an athlete. So really excited to hear that about Nate Roberts. On to offensive line. Dave said Ohio State's excited about Ian Moore and thinks he can really give us something. Of course, over the last week, having a few conversations, whether it be here or with other Ohio State fans, I do believe Ian Moore should get a chance to start this upcoming season. I thought he showed some great tape when he had the chance to this last season in 2025. I think that with Austin Sarabell, in my estimation, should be moving to right guard, but we don't know that for sure, right? But after what I saw of Phillip Daniels last year, I think going to this year, a spot should be up for grabs, should be up for the taking. I think Ian Moore possibly beat him out for that. I think Ian Moore is one of those guys, those young players who you have to get out there early. I think the same thing about a few other guys on that offensive line. But he's definitely someone I've been excited about since he committed to Ohio State, and I really believe that he should be on the field this season. So I'm just like Ryan Day. I hope he actually has something to give us this year, which I think he will. Next, let's move over to the defense, starting at the defensive line. Dave said Will Smith Jr. and Edric Houston got to step up for us at defensive tackle. Facts. Going into this year, I don't believe that Edric is the best defensive tackle on the team. I think that automatically goes to James Smith just due to the fact that he was more he was better last season. He had more production on top of that. But Edric last season was not bad. He just wasn't great either, but he wasn't consistent. He had good games. He had good moments. He had moments where you're like, what the hell? Especially when it comes to being up here. A lot of dumb penalties here and there. But it's got to fix that. Will Smith Jr., I think he will be a senior this year. And by the way, if you guys don't know, he's the son of the late, great Will Smith Sr., national champion on the 2002 team that beat Miami, and also was a really good player in the NFL for the New Orleans Saints. But same thing for him. Early in the year, he had good moments. As the year went on, it kind of waned. Those two guys, with the addition of James Smith and also having a lot of young guys in that room, they need to step up. They need to. I think that the defensive end room, when it comes to Kenyatta, Zion, Grady, Quay, and Epi, I think they will be fine. I think that room right there, but specifically those two guys, had to have a big season on defense for Ohio State to do what they want to do. We need depth in that room. And, going into your junior year, if you're Edric Houston, going into your senior year, if you're Will Smith Sr. or Jr., you need, and I mean you need, to have an outstanding, like not even outstanding, but you need to at least have a good year. At least have a good year. I think if we can get 3 good years out of 3 of our defensive tackles, we're in for a good season, especially on defense. I truly do believe that. Next, let's move over to linebackers. There we go. So they said Christian Allegro stood out to him, when Ohio State played Wisconsin because of how hard and physical he played and how well he diagnosed plays. He was wowed by Allegro's toughness in that game, in which he broke his hand but came back into the game. If you guys don't remember, and we've had this conversation, I don't understand why people are so low on this addition out of the portal and Christian Allegro. In that Ohio State game with a club on, he played outstanding. He probably had his best game of the year against Ohio State that day. And so I'm really excited about him. I think he probably can start going out. If I have to assume Pierce and Pettyjohn are going to start no matter what. But I do think Christian is going to be in the rotation a lot, along with TJ Alford. So really excited to see that. I think this linebacker room is going to be actually really good this year. I think there's a lot of depth that Ohio State, James Laurinaitis, and Matt Patricia can tap into this upcoming season. Next, let's get to cornerbacks. We had 2 points here that I want to talk about. Number one, Jay Timmons and Jordan Thomas are already off. This is in quotations, already off to a good start in winter workouts. Got to hear that. That cornerback room is really young. I mean, you're talking about a senior in Jermaine Matthews, but after that, you're talking about a true sophomore in Devin Sanchez. You're talking about Dominic Kelly coming out of his true freshman year out of Georgia, still a young player. And then you're talking about these two guys after them, after West and Scott leave. So, we definitely need those 2 guys have a big offseason for us, and it starts with winter workouts with Coach Mick. So glad to hear that. And then also, going back to Dominic Kelly, he says he's really excited about the potential of Georgia transfer Dominic Kelly. In quotations, he can cover at a high level, a very intelligent player, and he has 3 years left. Exactly. There's nothing else to add on that. That guy right there, and from what I've talked about with Georgia fans who I trust, shout out to my guys Keon, Bank, and Rye. They said that this was like he was up next. This is a guy that you want on your football team. So to have him, and then of course when Jermaine leaves, you're talking about him and Devin Sanchez, and then you got the young guys, Thomas and Timmons. That's a lot of young talent in that cornerback room that including this season, but going to next season, you really want that to prove and tell. Show proof and tell. And I'm really excited about Dominic Kelly and what he can do. I think he's going to see the field. I actually think he's going to see the field a lot this upcoming season for the Buckeyes. Next, let's get to the safeties. And they gave 2 points here. I'm with both of these. They said Duke transfer Terry Moore is a dynamite player who has great range. Then about Earl Little Jr. There's a lot of versatility to where he can play both nickel and safety. Now, I have not seen this yet, and I actually told some Oregon guys, I'm like, Little can play nickel and safety. Like, I'm really, really confident in what he's going to do this upcoming year, and I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be an impact player for us, including Terry. I think those 2 guys, especially being the ball-hawking DBs that they are, they're going to have a lot of they're going to do a lot of good things for this Ohio State team. And then lastly, special teams. Dave says that to have Joey McGuire, transfer kicker Connor Hawkins came highly recommended from those who live in the kicking world, they said. That's all I need to hear. It's been a long time since Ohio State has had a worthwhile kicker. And so to see that, or I'm sorry, to hear that and to read that, man, I think for Ohio State, getting a good to elite kicker is what this team really needs. Is what they really need. And I think that as of right now, for Ohio State fans, we're kind of still like wait and see mode for the kicker. I mean, just because what you do somewhere else doesn't mean you can do it here. But I do think kicking, I do think when you're a guy that has shown that you can produce anywhere else, especially when you produce at a D1 level, that'd be P4 or G5, I think you can come in and replicate that. So I'm really excited for him. Can't wait to see what Connor Hawkins does for Ohio State, and think that he'll be a really good player for us. Well, again, everybody, if you haven't already, please go ahead and like the channel, the show. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you like the content that we bring to you here. Also, if you're watching on X, do the same. If you're watching X, come over here and join us over on YouTube. Join the community, talk in the chat. Do the same here, actually, on X while you're there. But again, thank you all for being here tonight. The next thing we're going to get to here, we're just going to move on because I have a lot to talk about. I'm almost already 20 minutes in, damn near. Let's get to the running backs. Bo Jackson and Isaiah West both are going to be undergoing shoulder surgeries. I think we can make this a quick one to an extent, and of course we all know this now. But just coming off last year, Bo Jackson 1,090 yards, 8 touchdowns, 200 yards receiving, also with a touchdown. And Isaiah West coming on late in the year, 310 yards and 2 touchdowns. Part of me thinks. They're like, part of me is having hope in this, somewhat. I guess you can say sunshine pumping to an extent. I think Ohio State could be just keeping them out for the spring. If you don't know, they're going to be out for the spring. But I think they're doing this as a precautionary, which I have no problem with. They are 2 very young running backs, and you already have a very young running back room. So you have to protect these guys, especially when you have Bo Jackson on your team, who I would have to assume is one of the highest earners on your team. And he was one of the best players on your team last season as a true freshman, right? Shout out to my guy Chris Drew, friend of the channel, friend of the show. When we had him on here a few weeks ago, he brought up the fact that he is the guy, one of the big reasons why you beat the Wolverines. He catapulted you in that game. Was leading rusher, was second in receiving yards for both teams, I believe. So yeah, really. Got to keep an eye on this, see what happens. But what's after that? Of course, Sam Williams-Dixon leaves in the portal. You have James Peoples, who goes in conference, goes to Penn State in the portal. So after that, of course, you're talking about Jacoby Jackson, transfer from Florida. You're talking about Turbo Rogers, who was a redshirt freshman, or redshirt last year. And then you're talking about two true freshmen in Legend Bay and Favorite Key. Again, this is a really young running back room. And so what the question is now is who's going to step up? Jacoby come off of an injury. Turbo Rogers haven't seen the field yet. Legend Bay, Favorite Key, haven't touched college game yet. You're still going through winter workouts. So those 4 guys right there, we're going to see a lot of in the spring. We're going to hear a lot about in the spring. I'm really interested to see who comes out of that, out of those 4 running backs, who's 1 and 2. I would have to assume that guys like Turbo are going to see, are going to see a lot of the reps early with the first team. If Jacoby is injury free right now, I would assume he is too. Then Legend Bay and Favor come in there. With that being said, what Legend Bay brings to the table as an athlete, as a football player, it might. I think of those 4, he might catapult above them. I think the speed he has, the agility, the size he already has. I mean, I think he's as big or bigger than everyone in there, maybe except for Favor. I'm really curious to see where he lands in this, because I think there's a good chance that just with the explosiveness that he has as an athlete, he can end up being RB3 on this team. He could. That could very well happen. And honestly, going after next season, I expect one or two of these running backs to hit the portal. Again, this is a very young, which is also why it's really good you got Jacoby Jackson. But this is a really young running back room that has a lot to prove. So that's that. And of course, I mean, when it comes to Bo Jackson and Isaiah West, man, the speedy recoveries to you guys. Hope everything turns out well and that you guys are able to get on the field faster than possible. And Jam actually said they're a punter and kick returner. You're damn right. He could definitely do that. That being a Legend Bay. But yeah, man, I'm not worried about it. I think the running backs will be fine. Again, there's a lot of talent in that room. Turbo Rogers is still there. Anthony Turbo Rogers, if you guys don't know his real name, but he's still in there. And I think that once he's able to get, acclimated, he's gained some weight. He's a very quick twitch guy. I think he's one of the guys you want to get on the field too. Also a Legend Bay, he can play receiver. Again, there's a lot of things you can do with Legend Bay. It was hard for me not to watch his high school tape where he played quarterback, and I don't think Braxton Miller, but that's not going to happen. But yep, that's that, everybody. Again, appreciate you guys all for being here, joining the show. Another quick message here from the voice. Actually, you know what? We got some time here. I actually went through that a little faster than I thought I was. And there's a segment I think is going to take some time. So shout out to Jam for talking about kick and punt return. We can go off the special teams now, where we can talk about Ohio State now hiring Robbie Disher as their new special teams coach. Not a lot to find on this guy. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia. I don't expect both special teams coaches to have Wikipedias, to be honest with you. But I'm actually really excited for this hire. I think this is one of the better hires that Ryan Day has made in his tenure. And we are going to read up on why. Because when you read this, if you guys don't know much about him already, you're going to say to yourselves, okay, we got us one. So, a few things here about I think it's Robbie Disher. I think it's Disher. It has to be Robbie Disher. It has to be. But quick background on him. In 2024, while he was at Illinois, they led the nation in punt return average. This past, and from the 24 to 25 season, his kicker and long snapper were both back-to-back all Big Ten. And then in 2023, while at Tulane, PFF had his special teams doing it as number 7 in the country, and they also had 7 blocked punts that year. And actually, this comes from the Illinois website. I want to read this to you guys. I think this actually gives a full grasp of what we have here in Robbie Disher. It says Disher came to Illinois from Tulane, where he helped the Green Wave to AAC and Cotton Bowl championships. You guys remember they beat USC for that. That was a wild game. As a special teams coordinator in 2022, Disher's one season at Tulane was 2023 is in Illinois, but was one of the best in program history. As the Green Wave finished 12-2 and ranked number 9 in the final AP poll. Tulane's special teams ranked in the top 30 in 6 major categories, including punt return defense, 3rd, blocked kicks, 19th, yards per kick return, 20th, kickoff touchbacks, 23rd, yards per punt return, 28th, and kick return defense at 29th. Disher had individuals rank in the top 10 in the nation in both kickoff and punt returns, as Lawrence Keys III averaged 27.1 yards per kickoff return to rank 8th in the nation, and Jaquan Jackson averaged 10.1 yards per punt return and give him 10th in the nation. Tulane's return units combined to outgain their opponents by 478 yards in 2022, with kick units going plus 260 yards, set at 754 compared to 494, and the punt units posting a margin of plus 218 yards. That is 227 to 9 yards on the season. In other words, everybody, we probably got one of the best special team coordinators in the nation. Shout out to my boy Cody Ledoux, Roll Tide Garrison. Hey, Cody, I have one rule here. Don't be fucking cussing in here, all right? Don't be saying Roll Tide. So, yeah, man, again, Ohio State quietly probably got one of the best special team coordinators in the nation. I also think that when you bring, because Brian Day essentially kicked out his long snapper, his punter, and both his punters and his kicker. So when you look at this right now, when you're bringing in long snapper Riggs, when you're bringing in kicker Hawkins and Young, the punter, I think this is you're bringing a whole different unit. You're bringing a whole new coach. I'm really excited to see what Robbie Disher, our new special teams coordinator, can do with him. I think that Ohio State has a chance to finally have one of the better special teams units, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. Again, when you talk about special teams, everyone likes to focus on the kicker, the punter, the punt return, the punt defense, and saying for kickoff. Robbie Disher has a history of being elite in those categories. And so when you have a guy like Legend Bay who's coming in, a guy who could be a return specialist, I think that's huge. And I think that plays into the third unit of this team outside of Ohio State's offense and defense, to where you can get that special teams unit up and then bring it along with the rest of the team to where you now have a full-blown elite team. Again, I mean, you look at the 2024 season, as much as we hate on Jaden Fieldings in the playoff, not that he was in a lot of dire situations, but in the playoffs, he was elite. Now, that wasn't him all season, and damn sure wasn't him this past season in 2025, but that is what Ohio State is looking for. And if you're Ohio State, you got to be elite in all facets. That's just the truth of the matter. So again, shout out to Robbie Disher. Glad to have you on this in Columbus. Glad to have you in the Woody and working with the special teams, and hope something comes from it. I really do, because I mean, I feel like just like you guys over the last few years, it's been really aggravating watching Ohio State special teams. Of course, we had the kick return from Lorenzo last year. The year before that, in 2024, we had the punt return from Caleb Downs, but those are one-offs, and we didn't have a lot of consistent good punt returns, consistently good at kick returns. You want to see that. We weren't consistent at all in special teams in general. So I think that coming into this year is something that they really put an emphasis on, and I'm really happy to see that about Ryan Day, because I think for most things when it comes to Ohio State, whether it be the offense, whether it be the defense, whether it be the coaching staff, whether it be picking out the right recruiters, he's done a great job. Where he hasn't done a great job is in special teams. So this is definitely a good step for Ryan Day to take. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. Now, before we continue, another quick message here from the Voice of College Football. Get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football, and let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience of over our current partners, that being Win Agency and our friends over at FanDuel, posted here on the screen. And just like them, we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships at vocfb.com. Again, that's sponsorships at vocfb.com today. Okay, let's continue with the show. So something I want to bring to your guys' attention and get your thoughts on was two articles I found from MSN, also Sports Illustrated. Let's just get to it. So the first thing I want to read here, it comes from, I'll just read you guys the article. First off, it says Ohio State Buckeyes are going to miss these three transfers. The first one, Mylan Graham, says the Buckeyes are set to lose without Cardinal. Let's get past all that. However, Graham decided to shake things up and take his talents to Notre Dame, a program that, funny enough, never really leans into the wide receivers, while he may be arguably the best offensive target for the Fighting Irish in 2026, leaving the Buckeye State may end up hurting his development rather than accelerating it. And it goes on to finish off. And the other two players, Actually, let's just start with these two. Him and Quincy Porter. Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter. So this is my thoughts on that. Last year, I thought that Mylan Graham had some game. I won't say games. He had moments where he caught the ball. He had moments where he didn't catch the ball. There were games where a lot of people point to the senior game. It wasn't just that game. David Adolph played games ahead of him in other ones. Quincy Porter, who also left in the portal, passed him up. So I'm really curious on what it was with Mylan Graham, and because I was really big on him. If you guys already know this about me, like I was huge on Mylan Graham. I thought that he would be a really good player for Ohio State. I thought he would see a lot of time for Ohio State this year. It didn't work out, and of course, I don't pray on the downfall of these young guys. I hope they go on and do great things wherever they end up, and that being Notre Dame for Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter. But those two, and also Quincy Porter, who got injured last year, had like 4 catches for like 50-plus yards. But then, he got injured. He probably won't be ready until summer, fall. It was said to the grapevine that he was asking for more money, when in all reality, he did nothing to garnish that. I don't think Ohio State did that at all. I think when you look at Ohio State and you look at what they got in the portal here, you're talking about Kyle Parker, who I think coming in this season is better than both of them as a redshirt sophomore. 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think he's better than them right now. You look at Devin McEwen, who's faster than both of them, has been a 3-year starter at UTSA, has 1,600 yards, 1,696 yards, 16 touchdowns through his career so far there. And his last season was his best with 726 and 8 touchdowns, actually making up half of the touchdowns he has in his career so far. So I'm very comfortable with Ohio State doing that. I think that Ohio State's going to be fine at wide receiver. You also bring in very talented Chris Henry Jr. You still got Brandon Nennis. And I think Quincy Porter, I think he's going to be a really good receiver when he's ready. Ohio State doesn't need 2. Jeremiah can do it all, but essentially what I'm saying here is that you don't need 2 possession receivers out there and 1 slot guy. You need guys that you can move around. And again, shout out to my guy Chris Drew. I mean, he's talked about that Ohio State going towards more quick twitch guys that are more versatile at the wide receiver position. And I think that the guys that Ohio State brought in are that. I really believe that. And so, exactly, Aaron, we needed more YAC guys, and we got that. And so, I think for when it comes to Ohio State right now, man, I'm very comfortable with the wide receiver room looks like. I think the wide receiver room got better than what it would have been going into this season had nobody transferred out and had nobody came in. I really believe that. If I'm wrong at the end of the year, then I'll come out and say I was wrong. But I really do believe Ohio State's wide receiver is better than it probably could have been. Also, yeah, you talk about Guilford. Thank you, Jamie. You talk about Guilford also. Shout out to Fort Wayne area. And honestly, when he committed, I won't say I was early on this, but I was big on him committing. I thought that guy was a very underrated player. Glad to see that on Rivals on 3, he got his 5th star. So he shot the rankings after this season. So I'm really excited for him to see what he can do this year. So, yeah, I'm not upset at all with the Ohio State wide receiver unit. I think it's going to be damn fine. I really do think that. And on top of it, the third player they gave was Dominic Kirks. I have to assume, and let me look at this real quick. Who wrote this? Say Krakus. I'm guessing he's from Ohio State Buckeyes on Sports Illustrated on SI. So do we give him credit on this? Dominic Kirks, in his 2 years at Ohio State, had 24 snaps, 17 of which came this past season. Just to do some comparisons here, Epi Sintele had Sinatele. I'm gonna figure it out. He had 11 last year as a true freshman. 11, which is more than Kirk's had his freshman year, and it wasn't far off from what he did this year. Zion Grady, of course, played much more than he did. You're bringing in Quay Rousseau, and you didn't even pass up Bo Atkinson last year. And Bo Atkinson, who's coming back this year, didn't even play that much last year. And when he played, he played a lot last year. Excuse me, last year, got hiccups. But if you can't pass up Bo Atkinson, I don't know why. Let's say his name here. Let's say his name again. Why Cade Krakus thinks that. Here, let's read his reasoning. I read it earlier, but I want to read it to you guys real quick. The 6'3", 250-pound edge rusher out of Indianapolis, Indiana, south of Naptown, appeared in just 5 games in 2024 and 7 in 2025, recording 12 tackles, 1 for loss, 1 sack. While he never really broke into the rotation, his small sample size showed that he had talent. In high school, he was ranked, and I don't care about where he was ranked in high school. We're going to his junior year now. Once you're past your sophomore year, I can care less about how many stars you had. So, yeah, I'm not really sure why he thinks that. And the basis of this, and we'll get to the basis of this in a second. And then let's go to another article coming out of MSN, Sports Illustrated, Ohio State, still, by the way. Here we go. Oh, did I just lose it? Oh, I think I did, folks. Well, basically, what it had to do with was Ohio State and its schedule. And said that Ohio State fans should be scared about their schedule. So, and yes, Jam, he was bad. Everybody knows it. He was. And I was actually kind of bigging him up before the season. So, yeah, that's tough. But let's go through this schedule real quick. And we're gonna make this a fun exercise, which I'm gonna do with all of you. So what we're gonna do here, everybody, is that we are going to rank Ohio State's toughest games this season. I think this is it right here. Yeah, here we go. So let's make sure can you guys all see this? I think you guys all can. All right, cool. So actually here, I don't like this. Yeah, you guys can see it. So for Ohio State's schedule this year, everybody, we're going to go through this one by one. And again, I do want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And this is only in conference. But first, we're going to they start the season versus the Illini. And we got 4 tiers here, okay? The 4 tiers, they read 50-50 games, tough games, give us a fight games, and no chance. So first, we're going to start with Illinois. Where do you guys rank this? Because for me personally, I would rank this somewhere near, let's say, close to no chance or give us a fight. I do think the Illini have been really good over the season. I like what Brett Bielema has done with the program. I'm not really sure if I believe like the past. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were the past 2 seasons. I think they can be a still 7 to 8 win team, but I'm not really sure if they can go ahead and outdo what they did the last few years. All right, so Aaron says give us a fight. All right, so since I'm in the middle of it, I'll go with that, Aaron. We'll put Illinois in the give us a fight range. All right. So the next game is at Illinois. And yeah, that's the following week. So where do you guys put this? Now, me at India or at Iowa, I do believe that this is going to be a road game. I'm sorry, a night game. Of course, it's a road game, Garrison. Um, I'm not sitting here saying that we're gonna lose this game. I'm not even sitting here saying that we're gonna blow them out. I'm not sitting here saying that they won't give us a chance. But I do believe that this game right here is definitely going to be a tough one. One of those games. And the thing is that Ryan Day, outside of the 2025 game against the Wolverines, Ryan Day has never lost to an unranked team. He doesn't lose these games. Love Urban Meyer. He don't lose these games. So that's the part I'm like, okay, I'm not really worried about it. We're going to give us a fight, but I do think that if you understand Iowa, if you understand what Kinnick Stadium is, and on top of that, if I'm adding the point that it might be a night game, I'm with you, Aaron. I definitely see this as being a tough one. So after that, the Buckeyes the following week play Maryland. I believe we all know where to put this game. This is in the not a chance tier. I don't think there's any pushback on that. After that, the Buckeyes travel for a vaunted game. Oh yeah, CJ and the pink locker room. I don't know what you do about that. I really don't. Like that pink locker room can get anybody. But next, it's at Indiana. This is a 50-50 game, and I think we all agree with that. I'm really interested in this game because I don't know what Indiana's going to look like, but I do think they're going to be good. They're going to have Hoover from TCU as their quarterback. They brought a couple running backs out of the portal. They brought some defensive guys out of the portal. They brought in Nick Marsh, who I believe to be one of the top 5 to 10 wide receivers in college football on their team from Michigan State. You have one of the best coaching staffs in college football. You also have what I believe to be the 1A, 1B best coach in college football in Curt Cignetti. Talking about a program with 2 losses over the last 2 years, and those 2 losses are the 2 teams that played in the college football playoff national championship in 2020 last year in 2025. So Notre Dame, Ohio State. Yeah, I'm really interested. Also, this is going to be the biggest game at Indiana in their history, their program's history. So they're going to bring out all the stops for this. You got to believe that College Game Day is going to be there. We know it's going to be a big noon kickoff game. The stadium's going to be the loudest it's ever been. I'm really excited for this game. I'm really excited for Ohio State to go to Indiana. It's going to be probably the toughest matchup of the season. But yeah, I'm really excited for this game right here. Next, after that, the Buckeyes have a bye week, and then they play at USC. Now, I believe this game to be one of the more interesting games. One, because we haven't played USC so far since they've been in the Big Ten. This will also be fun because we haven't played USC on a home or away game. That would be since 2000. Terrell Pryor came in 08, 09 maybe? It was a Joe Bauerman year. Yeah, I think it's 2007 was the last time we played them. So, and we got our ass kicked that game. So, no, I'm really, really interested in seeing this game. Now, do I think it's a 50-50? Good God, no. I don't think USC is that good. But I do put them up a tier, then to give us a fight game. I do think this is a tough game. I would rank them. I'll rank them behind Iowa on this. It's only because I think Ohio State's going to have I don't think USC is going to have a big home advantage in that game. There's enough Ohio State fans there and very little USC fans. So, I'm really excited for that game, though. I'm really interested to see how that game turns out. I think it's going to be a big offensive game, too. But after that, the Buckeyes travel. That's a crazy 3-game stretch from at Indiana, bye week at USC, then the next week you play Oregon. But the Buckeyes will be playing Oregon for the first time in Columbus since 2021, where we lost that barn burner and where our defense couldn't do a lick. But thankfully, the times have changed. Of course, I'm putting this in the 50-50 game. There's nowhere else to put that. Oregon, of course, bringing back Dante Moore for his senior season, one of the better quarterbacks in college football, definitely a top 3 quarterback. They also have Dylan Raiola as their backup, who I also think is like a top 15 quarterback in college football and one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. They bring back that young running back room. They bring back, I think, most of the offensive line. I think 4 of the 5 guys. They bring back all of but one on the D line. They bring back Finney, who was a true freshman last year, but I thought that Brandon Finney was the best corner in college football last year as a freshman. They also bring in Corey Persh out of Minnesota from the transfer portal. I think he's the best safety in college football this upcoming year. So, yeah, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Also, they got a young talent on that secondary, too, guys like Name Alford. So, yeah, really excited to see what Oregon looks like this upcoming season, but really excited to see that game. Really want Ohio State to get that win back from what they lost in 2021. So, yeah, they're up in the 50-50 tier. After that, you're talking Northwestern and at Nebraska. There's only one place to put those two. You know what? I'll put Northwestern and not have a chance. I will give at Nebraska a fight. I think anytime you go to Nebraska, one of the better venues in college football, it can be a tough challenge there. Ohio State faced that not too long ago there. Also, I think we all understand that the Big Ten, this type of stuff happens when you face a team that probably is nowhere near as good as you. You probably should win, but you go on the road. You never know what happens. A slip up here and there on a drive, it can make the game tough. Ohio State, in all reality, I think it was 2025, probably should have lost that game. Or 2024 should have lost that game. So, yeah, that was really tough, actually, I think about it. So, yeah, but that's where I put them. And then I'm putting Nebraska in no chance. Never mind. I don't think they have anything for Ohio State this upcoming year, actually, now I think about it. I think they're going to be much worse than they were this past season. So, yeah, actually, I'm negate, like we say in the military, belay my last. I take all that back. And then, of course, we finished the season with the team up north. And we're going to leave them right here for right now. I want to know, does anybody think this all right, I'll be honest about the Wolverines. I think this upcoming year, they're going to have one of the better offenses in the Big Ten and possibly the nation. I think they're going to have a good wide receiver unit. I think the offensive line is going to be better. Like I said, I give every player the benefit of the doubt of getting better. So I think Bryce Underwood is going to get better this upcoming season. They have one of the best running backs in the Big Ten and in the country in Marshall. They're bringing in Savion Hyder. So I think the offense will be fine. The defense, it won't be bad. It'll be a good defense, but I think their rush defense is going to lack a little bit. Or they're going to want more out of that front seven, basically. That front seven isn't going to be anywhere near what's been the last 4 years, but I think that the secondary will be good. If you ask me right now, I'm going to put this upgrade. You know what? I'm going to put this in the 50-50 range. And that's the only out of respect. They have Kyle Whittingham as a new coach there. Of course, we got to see how things mature with him throughout the season. But why is the game at the end of the season? It's because you want both teams to be at their best by that time. Of course, injuries may happen, but you want both teams to be at their best. And I think at that time they should be, specifically defensively. I think their offense will be ahead of their defense, but I think the defense will catch up around mid to late season, maybe in November. But yeah, I think that'll be a 50-50 game. I think for sure. And a lot of that also has to do with just the rivalry being the rivalry, right? And so, and we've only won 1 year so far. They've won, 4 of the last 5. So, yeah, we still got to go out there and win it. So, yeah, that's the tiers right now I have for the Big Ten schedule. At the no chance, you got Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska. And the give a fight range, you got Illinois. The tough ones, Iowa, USC, then 50-50 games. ranking those. I have Indiana 1, Oregon 2, the team up north 3. So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Are you okay with this? Where would you change any of this? Would you move a team up? Would you move them down? Go ahead, let it fly in the comments. Let me know. Of course, you guys are also the voice of college football here, not just me. Well, again, everybody, if you haven't already, please go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like what we bring to you here. If you're watching on X or anywhere else, go ahead, hit the retweet, hit the like, quote, do whatever you got to do, comment. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts over on that side also. Let's see, what is Jam? So Jam says, are you nuts? No, Jam, I might be. Oh, you guys lost me there. No, Jam, I might be, okay? I might be. But I will just go with this for right now. But I don't think I am. I think that when you look at the Wolverines this upcoming season, right? And you look at what they have, I think that offensively they're going to be much better than they were this last season. I'm not here. I'm not. I've always said this to you guys. I could easily come on here and just give you guys, sunshine pump, lie, deceive, which is even worse than lying, deceiving. But no, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And I think they're gonna be a good. God forbid I say this. They're gonna be a good team next year. We've mentioned him a few times already on this show, this network today. Chris Drew. He also thinks they're gonna be a good team next year. I can't. I hate saying this, Jam. I can't sit here and say with one of the more young, talented quarterbacks, offensive line that's mostly coming back, basically all of them are coming back, an upgraded wide receiver unit. The running back unit takes a little dip because you lost Justice, but you still got really good talent in that room with the first two guys basically being Marshall and Hyder. The defense, you brought in John Daly at defensive end. You should know the defensive line won't be that good, especially at tackle, and the linebackers may not be that good, but the secondary will be fine. And you also you brought in one of the Hill from BYU. I can't sit here and say that I don't believe they're going to be a good team next year. I think they'll be a pretty good team. I really do. But I get it. I don't want to give them props for anything either. You ain't the only one. But I got to be honest here on this show, right? Now, the last thing I want to talk about with you guys is something I actually put out on X. And so I want to get your guys' thoughts on this real quick. Oh, let me bring that down. There we go. I had a question of the day on good grief on X, and I'm really curious on what you guys think on this. So I had asked here, I'll just show you guys. Give me a second here. So we have got to switch up that layout. But what I asked on X was which of these four from the 2025 class needs to take the biggest jump this off season. And the four players I gave were Epi, Carter Lowe, Turbo Rogers, and TJ Alford. Gave 2 on defense, 2 on offense. So far right now, it looks like because Carter Lowe was leading it, but looks like him and Epi are tied for first. Then over at technically third, you have TJ Alford, and then what I'm surprised by is with the injury news, but possibly because people expect him to come West and Jackson to come back healthy. 7.2 there for Turbo Rogers. So I would love to know in the chat in the comments, who do you guys believe are the four players who need to have the biggest offseason? And of these four guys right here, who do you think needs to? If you ask me personally, I would probably say Turbo and Epi. One, because of the injuries, and I just want to see Turbo Rogers make that next step because he's part of the same class as West and Jackson. And so there's that. Then also with Epi, I just think that once you get past Kenyatta and Zion, who we know play last year and had great reps. And I think Epi did when he had his chances to also, but I think you bring in Quay, but we need one more guy back there. I think that Epi has to be that guy, and I think he's going to make sure that he is that guy. I heard this and about Epi, and he said that he's going to be at Ohio State as long as Ohio State needs him, and he's going to make sure that Ohio State needs him. And so when I hear things like that, I expect Epi to come off his freshman year and have a big year. So shout out to Jam. And by the way, guys, if you don't follow me on X, go ahead and follow me. It's Buckeye_GDG. But Jam, she says she voted TJ Alford. Jam, what were your reasons for that? I'm really curious on what your reason was. I want to know why. Because I mean, there's a reason why I put him on here. Of course, when you talk about the linebacker room that we have, we talk about the three top guys, mostly who we believe the three top guys are going to be when it comes to Allegro, Petty John, and Peyton Pierce, of course. But we mentioned earlier, this will be the next guy also. So I'm really curious on why you believe that, because I think when you talk about the linebacker room going to this season, I think that James Laird-Nice has done a great job not just recruiting in there and finding the right guys. Because by the way, I think he's done a great job of trying to get guys up what the Ohio State linebacker room used to look like, with just tall, big, athletic guys. But TJ Alford is one of those players where after this season, because if I'm right here, his position needs. Okay, I understand that. But let me look real quick, because I want to see what year somebody is. Let's see. I feel like Mark Rogers right now is doing something on the fly. Garrett Stover is still on the team. So, yeah, Peyton Pierce is a sophomore. He's going to be a junior next year. It's a really young room. So, Joey Velasquez. But yeah, man. So, but I agree with you. That is a position need. And he's one of those guys that clearly Ohio State thought they needed still on the team. He's also someone who chose to stay on this team. He could have easily transferred, and he didn't. Could have easily transferred. So, yeah, I'm glad he didn't there. Also, before we get out of here, everybody, first off, shout out to our friends over at FanDuel. I do want to give you guys my picks every single Monday. And if you didn't know, I am a Piston fan. And by the way, the Pistons are one of the best teams in the NBA. But today, everyone, I think Joker isn't playing. But the Pistons right now are 4-point favorites against the Denver Nuggets. They are at home. But on this one, everybody, if you don't know anything about the NBA this year, the Pistons can score. The defense, it's hit or miss, but I think it's pretty decent at times. But we all know the Denver Nuggets can't score. But they can't really play defense. I would take the over 225.5 on this one. I think both teams are going to score a lot of points. I think it's that time of the year where guys get a little bit lackadaisical on defense. You're getting towards the middle of the season. So, yeah, go ahead and give me that by our friends over at FanDuel. Denver Nuggets at Detroit tonight at 7:10 Eastern Time, February 3rd, over 225.5 points. So that's that for you. Also, everybody, if you haven't already, if you would like to hit that join button where you can become a member here at Ohio State Boys College Football, you can see our 3 tiers there that will come across the bottom. The Block O Club. JT wasn't short. We don't give a damn, and you know the rest. Go ahead and do that. Of course, we don't beg here for you. If you would like to become a member here and help us monetarily, that is always awesome. And shout out to our members like Doreen and Jam, who are always here for us. Oh, yeah, and Rod Harvard, by the way, too. Shout out. I haven't seen Rod in a while. Hope to see him here soon. But again, everybody, that's our show for tonight. Again, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. Thank you again for joining us at Ohio State here at Ohio State Boys College Football, presented by FanDuel. And as always, OH, IO.